Welcome back to my channel. Today, we will be breaking down the common friendly questions cops always ask. The officer leans against your window like this is just casual conversation. Where are you coming from? Got anything illegal in the car? You seem nervous. Everything okay? And here's the problem. Most people think the danger starts when the officer gets aggressive. It usually starts when the officer gets friendly. Because those first few harmless questions are often designed to do one thing: get you talking. You answer one question, then another, then another. Suddenly, the officer says, "So you admitted you were at the bar tonight," or "You said you were in a hurry," or "You changed your story." Now you're trapped in a conversation you thought was casual. So what do? What are you legally required to answer? What should you never say? And how do you stay calm without making the situation worse? In this video, we're breaking down the exact friendly questions officers commonly use during traffic stops and street encounters, what those questions are really designed to accomplish, and the safest ways to respond without talking yourself into trouble. Every video here could save you from a serious mistake one day. Subscribe now so you don't miss what could protect you. Then share this video and drop your opinion below. I want to hear what you think. Because one sentence can completely change the encounter. A lot of people lose control of these situations without realizing it, not because they were guilty, not because they resisted, but because they talked too much. And officers are trained to notice inconsistencies, nervousness, hesitation, body language, and voluntary admissions. That matters because anything you say can become evidence. Even innocent explanations can accidentally create suspicion, especially in states like Arizona, where law enforcement encounters can escalate quickly if officers believe they have reasonable suspicion or probable cause. Now let's be clear, this is educational information, not personal legal advice. Laws vary by state, and every situation depends on specific facts, but there are some core principles that can protect you almost everywhere in the United States. The first trap is the friendly opener. An officer walks up smiling. "Where are you headed tonight?" Seems harmless, right? But think about what the officer is actually doing. They're evaluating you immediately. Your speech, your eyes, your timeline, your confidence, your consistency. They're looking for admissions, contradictions, or signs of impairment. Most people respond by over-explaining. "Oh, I'm coming from my friend's house. We watched the game. I only had like 2 beers hours ago." That sentence just handed the officer information they did not previously have. Now the officer hears alcohol, timeline, possible impairment. And notice something important. The officer did not accuse you of drinking. You volunteered the information. A safer response is calm and minimal. "Officer, I prefer not to answer questions." Or, "I'd like to remain silent." That feels uncomfortable for many people because they think silence makes them look guilty. Legally, silence is not guilt. Talking is evidence. And the key here is tone. Do not sound sarcastic. Do not sound hostile. Do not try to win. You are protecting yourself, not challenging the officer. That wording works because you are clearly evoking your rights without escalating the encounter. Now, here's another common tactic. The officer says, "Mind if I take a quick look inside the vehicle?" This is one of the biggest mistakes people make during traffic stops, because people hear "quick look" and think refusal will make them seem suspicious. But consent changes everything. If you consent to a search, you may give up major legal protections later. And once you consent, it becomes much harder to challenge the search in court. The safest phrase is simple. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Notice what that phrase does. It is calm. It is clear. It is non-physical. You are not resisting. You are not arguing. You are not reaching for anything. You are simply refusing consent. That distinction matters because you should never physically interfere with an officer, even if you believe the search is unlawful. Do not grab. Do not block. Do not pull away. Say the words once, calmly. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Then stop talking. And here's something people misunderstand. Refusing consent does not automatically stop a search. An officer may still search if they claim legal justification exists, but your refusal can still matter later in court. Another friendly question officers often use is this: "You don't mind if we clear a few things up, right?" That sounds cooperative, reasonable, casual, but what often follows is an interrogation disguised as conversation. Why were you in that neighborhood? Who owns the car? Why are you sweating? Why'd you take so long to pull over? And nervous people start trying to explain everything. That usually makes things worse, because stress causes inconsistencies. The more you talk, the more material gets analyzed. Instead, you need to know one of the most important questions in any police encounter. Am I free to go, or am I being detained? That question forces legal clarity. If you are free to leave, you may be able to end the encounter. If you are detained, different legal rules apply. And notice the wording, not "why are you stopping me?" Not "this is illegal." Not "you're violating my rights." Just "am I free to go, or am I being detained?" That works because it is direct and non-confrontational. If the officer says you are free to leave, leave calmly. Do not restart the argument. Do not make a speech. Do not insult the officer on the way out. If the officer says you are detained, stop trying to persuade them. At that point, silence becomes even more important. Another major trap is when officers pretend they already know everything. They might say, "Your friend already told us what happened," or "we already know where you were," or "if you're honest with me, this goes easier." Many people panic and start talking, but officers are legally allowed in many situations to use deception during questioning. That surprises a lot of people. So do not assume the officer is telling you the truth just because they sound confident. The safest response is still, "I'm exercising my right to remain silent," or "I want to speak to a lawyer." That second phrase is extremely important because simply staying quiet is not always enough. In some situations, you must clearly invoke your rights. And once you request a lawyer, questioning is supposed to become much more limited under many circumstances. Again, laws vary and exceptions exist, but invoking your rights clearly is far safer than trying to talk your way out. Now let's talk about one mistake that escalates encounters fast: arguing on the roadside. A lot of people think they're going to beat the case right there, next to the police car. That is not the place. Do not lecture the officer on constitutional law during a stop. Do not yell. Do not make sudden movements. Do not reach into pockets unexpectedly. Even lawful gun owners can create dangerous misunderstandings by moving too quickly during a stop. If you need to reach for documents, say exactly what you're doing first. "My registration is in the glove compartment. I'm going to reach for it slowly." Clear communication lowers risk. Fast movements increase tension. And remember this: being legally correct does not make you physically safer in the moment. Your priority during the encounter is getting through it safely. Court is where legality gets challenged, not the shoulder of the highway at midnight. Now, here's another friendly-sounding line officers use constantly. "If you've got nothing to hide, why not cooperate?" That question pressures people psychologically. Nobody wants to look guilty. But constitutional rights are not only for guilty people. The right to remain silent exists because innocent people make mistakes, misspeak, get nervous, forget details, or unintentionally incriminate themselves. You do not lose rights because an officer acts offended that you're using them. And you do not need to explain why you refuse consent. Do not say, "I know my rights." Do not say, "You can't do that." Do not turn it into a personal battle. Keep returning to calm, repeatable phrases. "I do not consent to searches." "I prefer to remain silent." "Am I free to go, or am I being detained?" "I want a lawyer." Short, clear, controlled. That control matters more than people realize because emotional reactions give officers more to work with. The safest person during a police encounter is usually the calmest person. Now, there's one more thing people get wrong. They think being polite means answering everything. It doesn't. You can be respectful without volunteering information. You can comply with lawful orders without consenting to searches. You can stay calm without helping build a case against yourself. Those are different things. And if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this framework. Stay calm, keep your hands visible, comply with lawful commands, do not make sudden movements, do not consent to searches, do not argue roadside. Ask if you are free to leave. Invoke your right to remain silent when needed. Request a lawyer if questioning becomes serious. Because the most dangerous part of many police encounters is not force, it's conversation. And the next video is about another trap that catches thousands of drivers every year. The exact words officers use before asking you to step out of your car, and what you should do the moment that happens.